Someone emailed me recently and said they'd seen two Pentacon Sixes on a market stall, and how could they check to see if they were working. So here we've got two Pentacon Sixes, not the same ones, and I'll go through some of the things that you could reasonably do on a market stall to check the camera before deciding whether or not to buy it. We're going to look at this camera in this video, and I must say it is in beautiful cosmetic condition, and so is the lens. It's got a lens and it's got the standard finder, which is called a waist level finder. If I press there, it opens up, and if I look down, I can't see a thing. All I see is something vaguely white. Alright, so we'll try pressing the shutter and nothing happens. So we'll try advancing the film, and we can't. It won't advance and we can't press the shutter. And if we look at the lens, you may be able to see on the video that the lens aperture is fully stopped down. I can change that, of course, with the aperture ring, but I'm going to leave it fully stopped down. In fact, if we take the lens off, we can't see the mirror either. So what has happened? The mirror is up, the lens is stopped down, I can't fire the shutter, and I can't wind on. Now, if we look at this, it may not be large enough on your screen, I can see that I'm at frame number 12. So maybe previous customers have wound and fired and they've got to number 12, at which point the advance lever blocks. Here, just with a fingernail, you pull back that little lever. That deblocks the advance lever. We can now wind on, and what do we see? Well, you may or may not be able to see that there's now an image in the viewfinder. The lens has opened up to maximum aperture, and if we took the lens off, we could actually see the mirror and see what condition it was in, and this one looks pretty good. So we'll put the lens back on, put it in holding position, and try squeezing the shutter. That sounds good. The shutter is fired, the lens has stopped down, the mirror has gone up and stays up. Just like the Hasselblad 500 at the same time of manufacture, when you fire the shutter, the mirror goes up and it stays up. And if you want the mirror to go down, you wind on and you're all ready to go again. So, the camera is not jammed. If it were, there is something else you might check. This is the self-timer or delayed action lever, and if it is wound down in a horizontal position and won't go up, then the camera may indeed be jammed. But this one isn't. So the next thing we want to do is we want to open the camera back. Pull it down. And that click you heard, amongst other things, returned the counter from frame 14 back to the straight line before 0. Am I wound on? Yes, I am wound on as it happens. And I'm looking at the left hand shutter curtain, and it looks fine. If I fire the shutter, that went over rather fast, but I'm now looking at the right hand shutter curtain, and that looks fine too. There's no holes in it, it's not wrinkled, doesn't appear to be damaged in any way. Now as I wind on, try not to get my hand too much in the way of the video camera, you can see the join between the two shutter curtains. And there's not a gap between them, nor should there be. If there were a gap between them, something would be wrong. We happen to be on 125th. I'm going to change down to a 60th and fire again. it may or may not be easier to see that the shutter curtains move more slowly. I'm going to take the lens off, put that down. I'm going to change down to a 30th. I'm going to wind again. And with these slower speeds, you should be able to hear and see the difference in speed. I think that's clear, that was slower. We'll now go for the flash sync, which is probably about 125th. So, yes, 25th, I beg your pardon. Yeah, that looked slower. We'll go to a 15th. And that was obviously slower. And another thing I'll do, I'll go to an 1/8 of a second. If you can hold the camera up to the light a bit, it may be easier to see the shutter curtains moving across. This should be an 1/8 of a second. And that's looking pretty good. You can check all the speeds, I won't do that now. I'll just go down to B. We'll wind on. And with B, I'm going to put the lens on first. You'll see why in a minute. I'll put the lens on first. Well, we're going to fire B. We need 3 hands for this, but we'll cope. And the shutter is open as long as I hold down, and the lens has stopped down to the aperture I've chosen. If I'd chosen a different aperture, you may be able to see that opening up and closing down. I'll let go of the shutter release and the shutter is closed. On the higher speeds, it's harder visually to see the difference in the speeds, but you can get an idea from the sound and what you actually see. We'll close this. Well, everything we've checked so far looks very good. And if the price was right, I would buy that camera, even though I have quite a few more. This does come purely with the waist level finder, which is what you're likely to find. And if you want a prism or a metering prism, you have to buy that separately. If I wind on here, you'll perhaps be able to see through the viewfinder. All right. And this one actually has a very nice bright focusing screen, not the original screen. I think that's enough to give you the starting point for checking if the camera appears to be faulty or working well.